My name is Yerevan. I'm a human rights defender.
I'm Miriam Borawi, and I'm an Algerian student and writer.
I am Marino Cordova Barrio.
I'm Joyce.
Algeria.
I'm from the Philippines.
I am from Colombia.
I am from Ukraine.
Mostly I would start with the most violated one, which is freedom of expression, because I personally believe that it's the right that has all the other rights underneath. Because if we are free to express ourselves, we get the human rights, we get the LGBTQ rights, we get political rights, democracy, and all of this.
The issues that are affecting the most our community are related with the human rights defenders. For example, we have right now, since 2016 until now, almost 500 social leaders, human rights defenders being killed.
A lot of actual problems with rights of human rights defenders and activists. They face physical attacks and persecution. For example, last year we had more than 50 attacks against human rights defenders. Some of them died and were killed. For example, Katarina Gandziuk, who were attacked with acid and died after that, or Mykola Bychko, who was hanged up in trees in eastern part of Ukraine.
Most of the world have known our president, but currently we've had impunity and lack of accountability of our government. And then primarily because I work with indigenous rights, there have been a lot of criminalization of indigenous peoples that involves their land.
We have a conflict going on in Colombia in the places where the Afro-Colombian and indigenous live, because these are areas where are mineral resources that most of the business owners, they wanted to take it. They have been killing and displacing people from their own territory.
Secondly, we have two areas of military conflict in Ukraine. One is Crimea, occupied Crimea, where human rights defenders are facing persecution for all the time they are occupied by Russian Federation. But they are still continuing their job. In eastern part of Ukraine, we have an active military conflict, and people suffer from it, obviously.
And also, one of our huge issues now is red tagging of individuals and now organizations. They're being labeled as communists.
Personally, for me, the problem of impunity and accountability is the biggest in Ukraine, because criminals are not facing punishment for their actions. That's why they continue attacking rights defenders, for example.
Sending message to the Colombian government about the international communities watching us, watching what happened over there, and also ask the Colombian government to comply with the international mechanisms that they already have signed. These mechanisms are into the Colombia Constitution, but the Colombian government is not complying with that.
According to what I do, because I defend human rights through poetry and spoken word, that's art, the tool that I need the most is media. Furthermore, I need that we should have in Algeria more festival conferences that are international to have our place on the map of human defenders around the world.
For the international community, solidarity and proper awareness of indigenous issues is definitely something that helps. If within other governments, say the EU as an institution, trying to also pressure our president to be more accountable and make justice work for everyone.
We actually need ongoing pressure on our government, first of all, and after the elections we have now and we'll have in the future, we will need more of this pressure from international bodies, from European Union, from United States, from all the partners who actually give the money to the government to provide reforms.
Because we also have a lot of political personalities repressive for those who are against. The president, they're immediately put to jail or like that, trumped up charges.
We actually need their support to pressure Russian Federation to fight combat violations against human rights defenders in territories of military conflict, for example, in occupied Crimea, to provide access to that territory for international organizations, for international monitors of human rights violations. That's what we need.
I try to find out what's going on, like the topics that I work on. Then I try to write about them mostly in a sarcastic way, because I have a sarcastic style in writing.
In a car where I had to move with the two bodyguards because my security situation is very difficult in Colombia. I mean, they're threatening us every time. I had no liberty on myself.
Usually I do support regional initiatives in Ukraine. I work with law enforcement agencies to persuade them to combat violations against civilian activists, and I support different allied groups of different groups, like for example allies of LGBTI in Ukraine. I'm trying and I'm working to educate them on how they can be supportive, what ways are the most supportive for groups they are trying to protect and they're trying to work with.
Although I'm a member of an indigenous community, but I'm from the north, a lot of other communities also have been criminalized. And I've worked with an indigenous regional organization before, so now I'm currently working on specific cases that I've learned from my previous organization, which is likely trying to follow up if they're still okay, or if the activities that we have initially discussed with is something that we can move forward. So yeah, so that's pretty much like providing support.
What about law enforcement agencies? I communicate with them to persuade them to protect peaceful gatherings, to protect people from violence, for example, from the side of radical right-wing groups in Ukraine, which are extremely active now.
Yeah, I applied for the EU Sakharov Fellowship and the Venice School for learning new mechanisms, because I think that I know what to do, I know what I want to do, but I really don't know how on a scale of 100%.
Specifically learn more about the EU as an institution, because for us it's such a big institution that we are aware can put pressure to governments or even companies that involves, because mostly the cases that involves indigenous communities involves businesses and companies primarily.
Because I know that the international community is there and we need them to educate them about our issues.
I was extremely interested in actually what's going on in the world, what are the common patterns we have in the world, what human rights defenders all around the world do to protect basic human freedoms and human rights.
This is a very unique and important moment for me to be here and to share about our experience and situation in Colombia with other people.
To share my experience with them and to receive their vision on how we can be more effective, more supportive for civilians, for humans, and what can we do more efficiently to actually reach the level of protection of human rights in our countries.